right, so you saw in one of the earlier episodes where we got the car running and we took it out to the airport. If you watch that video, you can hear the RPMs flare a whole bunch while Chris is driving down the runway. Discovered that there was some oil getting onto the clutch. The guys took the torque tube out and replaced the rear main seal. That's where it appears to have been coming from. So we've got to do a little bit more testing on one of the Jags as well. We'll be up there for a couple hours. We're going to go run the car down the runway, give it a little bit of boost and get some crankcase pressure in there and see if that's the source of the leak and we got it fixed. Fingers crossed, we don't have any more problems. We're gonna pop us all over airport cherry today. Figured we'd do it in something easy with like manual transmission, 700 horsepower, no traction control, wheel spin in fourth gear. I set the car in there and wait for the go ahead. Usually I'll call it as you're going down there. You know, I'll call it out and you're in for 10, 20 seconds to say, okay, you're good to go. But you got to be ready in case I'm okay. We got an airplane coming in, whatever. If we like, even if somebody's like, I'm entering the airspace, I'm coming into land, we've probably got 5 minutes. It's not like a desperate emergency, and you know we could break down on the runway and we could tell everybody the runway's closed and have to land on the ground. So this is the the quarter mile right about here, like right when you pass this road.
That's where you shut off usually.
Yeah,
usually.
If you lift off there, you will have done a full quarter mile. I mean, in this thing, you're probably going to be doing damn close to 130 miles an hour.
Yeah, there's no point.
No, and then you've got lots and lots of room so that, like, hypothetically, if you had a brake failure, you can downshift and pitch it sideways, spin it at the end of the runway and not hit anything.
Hit the pack nose. Hey, you
guys!
No.
I mean that's the fail safe, right? Is like you start downshifting and you get to the end of the runway, you'd probably be doing like 60 or 80 kilometers an hour. And then you just,
I wish I'd known I would have brought mine.
Yeah, then you just fucking throw it into
he doesn't know either. Nobody knows. It's all good. we just make it up as we go.
Okay, so let's get this out and log this first.
Yeah.
Radio check. Radio check. 5x5. It's like, quit telling me how to drive or you're gonna get the button.
Ejectocito.
Yeah. That reminds me of, like, do you remember this, one of the early Simpsons where they let Homer design a car? Yeah. And the back seats had like restraints and muzzles for the children and like a partition that came off. And all right, well, Graham has been busy getting the Dirty Bird ready for the race series. We got the car up to the airport, did a few pulls there, and Jeff smelled oil right away. So we've brought it back down to the shop, and he's taken the torque tube out again and found something really, really interesting. This is not a standard car, and it doesn't always have standard issues. So we'll go grab Jeff, and we'll get him to tell you what he's found.
Hi there. So just back from testing the other day. Still have a little bit of leak. It's better, but there's still a little bit of something there. So we've dug into it and ended up having to pull the torque tube and everything again, just narrowing it down to where it was coming from. And actually, it's coming from the crank still, but from the center of the crank behind the pilot bearing for the clutch. Somebody at some point has cross-drilled the crank just to improve the oiling for the rear main bearing, and these Astons have this little seal cap that goes in behind the pilot bearing to seal off any oil or any contaminants from getting into the system. When they cross-drilled the crank, they managed to touch the backside of this cap and just interrupt it enough and just probably move it like 1 millimeter. and it was just enough to break the seal just a little and start a little bit of a leak. So just waiting another one of these little caps here, and we're gonna press another one in. Put a special sealer in there, and that should take care of that. But yeah, it took a little while to figure this out, but yeah, it seemed like oil was coming through the pilot bearings. So yeah, and this is what we found. So yeah, we'll get a new one and try that again.